AITA for becoming that parent by causing a stink at my daughter's school. My daughter, Cleo, 11, is very active outside of school. She plays soccer, takes swim lessons and will play outside a lot with neighborhood kids. She's very social. Most of her friends are from outside of school. At school, however, she struggles making friends. Cleo has ADHD and was bullied in 3rd and 4th grade for some of that. While it was brought under control by 5th, current grade, these kids still don't play with her and pretty much ice her out. While I don't think they have to play with her, it also means that she doesn't socialize a lot at school. She's okay with this. Her teacher says our daughter often plays alone at recess or reads. My wife and I were not very concerned and explained she's very social and active afterwards. Cleo is a huge reader. She's currently reading her way through my wife's collection of books from her childhood. She loves them and treasures them, knowing they were her mama's and wants to take great care of them. She came home on Tuesday, very upset and worried her mom would be upset with her. I asked why and she said her teacher took her book away and won't give it back until tomorrow. When pressed for more information, she said she was reading at recess. Her teacher walked over, took the book and told her to go play. My daughter begged for her book back and the teacher refused. I quickly assured Cleo that she wasn't in trouble and even called my wife at work to have her back me up. It was quite concerning that she was so afraid. As my wife isn't one to fly off the handle, she's always gentle with Cleo. As suspected, my wife assured her she wasn't upset and that Cleo did zero wrong. The next day, I brought Cleo to school early and walked her to class. No one but the teacher was there. I told the teacher to give me the book. She obliged and tried to defend herself. I told her to save it and she had no right. There is no rule that Cleo has to do physical activity at recess and we expressed no concern. The teacher said she was allowed to set boundaries for her class but I pointed out recess was free time. It's not like Cleo is reading during math. We went back and forth. And finally I said I'd be reaching out to the principal. The issue was resolved quickly. I don't know the particulars, except the principal told me that Cleo is allowed to read at recess and unless she is actively harming someone or reading during a non-designated time, she wouldn't have any more books confiscated. My wife and I were pleased. Cleo even more so. My cousin is a teacher at this school, just a different grade. She says what I did is hot gossip in the teacher's lounge and that I have been marked as one of those parents. She says the teacher isn't paid enough and I should have just accepted the rule. When I pointed out we only have 2 more months left at this school. Cleo is our only and starts junior high in August. That's not a concern. My wife and I feel justified. But we are wondering if I'm an asshole? NTA and how does a teacher's pay have to do with her overstepping her bounds? One would think if she wasn't paid enough that she'd actually want to relax at recess instead of harassing children. NTA. I was the kid that read during inappropriate times and rightfully had my books taken away. They always gave them back at the end of the day though. That teacher had no right to take her book from her, much less keep it overnight. Why is this woman a teacher if she doesn't want children to read in their free time? The only time I've ever had a teacher complaining about me reading in my free time was during the Scarlet Letter, reading my junior year. Her complaint was that I was way too far ahead of the rest of the class and needed to stop before I got to the end and wasn't interested in class discussion anymore. Tears of joy. NTA. How can you actively discourage reading and call yourself a teacher? NTA. I did find the bit about the teacher isn't paid enough and I should have just accepted the rule pretty comical. Your child should not be mistreated at school because a teacher isn't paid enough. You did the right thing. The teacher was strangely out of line and lacking in compassion. Even if well-intentioned, she effectively punished Chloe, which was wildly inappropriate. NTA. I was Cleo. I read a lot. I can't imagine if a teacher did what yours did. I understand teachers are overworked and underpaid on a criminal level, but they should also understand how group dynamics work. You think kids just sit off to the side because they don't like anyone? No. The loners are loners because no one likes them. Telling them to go, insert themselves is like a social death sentence. NTA. Some teachers are on power trips and really do not understand ND kids. Nor do they try to. I was called into a PT conference because my son was world building during class. Seriously, kid has an imagination Tolkien would be proud of. Turns out it was free time after a test that he aced. My questions were, was he disturbing other kids still testing? No. Is he having trouble grasping your subject? Does he need to be focusing more? No. Are other kids allowed to read during that time? Yes. So what's the issue? Silence. Both my parents taught, and from everything I learned from them, you are NTA. I can't imagine being told I wasn't allowed to read during a free time. What kind of teacher does that, and what kind of school has other teachers that support that? Maybe suggesting they play, or trying to get them involved with the class. Taking their book is extra crossing a line. NTA. You gave your kid the message. We have your back. The worst thing about not fitting in, being introvert, being on your own, simply loving reading more than interacting with these specific classmates or whatever reason someone has for not joining in, is the constant pressure to do something that others want you to do because they think you should want it and you are missing out. You gave your daughter the message that it is okay to be herself, to spend her me time the way she wants to. It is a powerful message, and who cares what the teachers' lounge thinks of that? NTA. A lot of times parents called one of those parents and hated by teachers, or just parents trying to advocate for their own kids who usually are neurodivergent or have different needs in general. NTA. The teacher overstepped big time and you stood up for Cleo. Wow. NTA. Even the slightest. That teacher may be underpaid and miserable, but had no right to do that and upset your kid. You did good. NTA. I would have done the same thing. I have mad respect for teachers. But that was clearly her overextending her authority. You did absolutely right, and now the staff knows that you are one of those parents that protect their kids. That's a big difference from overbearing or being a helicopter parent. NTA. A teacher discouraging a kid from reading? That's a new one. Apparently the principal agreed with you. I agree that teachers are underpaid, but that doesn't really have anything to do with this situation. NTA. If by one of those parents they mean rational and thoughtful and don't let teachers act like dictators needlessly, then sure thing. Own it. And you're right. Recess is free time. This isn't reading or sitting out PEIE, compulsory exercise, or like during another subject. NTA. I could see if you cussed out the teacher and pulled the "do you know who I am" card, but it seemed like you were like, why are you making up rules as you go? NTA. Even if we ignore the history of bullying, your kid's socialization outside of school, the teachers pay your NTA. Let's look at this from an adult perspective. Doesn't it sometimes sound like it'd be fun to go for a hike with friends or spend a day at the beach or play some frisbee in the park? And doesn't that sometimes sound like actual torture and you'd like nothing more than to just relax with a good book? Why is this teacher telling your child to ignore what their body and mind are telling them they need? Your kid wants to vibe out and enjoy a book during their free time? More power to you, kiddo. NTA. Most kids need to be encouraged to read and the teach did this? WTAF? What is wrong with that teacher? I think Chloe should start a book club at recess out of spite. NTA. Nothing wrong with reading a damn book during recess. Teacher was dumb to confiscate a book. Let it be gossip. You did nothing wrong. NTA. Her teacher is also not paid enough to police recess activities for preference which differ from one day to the next, rather than misbehavior. Random nonsensical rules are also not needed in a school. You are not one of those parents asking their bully child be overlooked for discipline or demanding the lesson plan be changed for their worldview. NTA. Your kid can read during recess. End of story. The teacher overstepped. Daughter of a teacher here. By the way, I'm appalled that any teacher would try to stop a child from reading for fun.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.